of suffering, you must thoroughly change your wrong outlook on life and values. One cannot get rid of the worries and troubles of life by possessing more money, greater fame, higher position, or more beauties. On the contrary, such possessions can only add to one's distress, which will increase with the increase of your possession of these things. The traditional family is a sea of misery. The affliction between husband and wife originates from the mutual possession, the necessary results of which are afflictions. The ultimate way to eliminate distress is to give up possession and have nothing. Life is but a journey of life in the human world. The more one wants to possess, the more tiring the journey would be. To get rid of distresses, we must change the traditional outlook on life and values. Learn to be independent. Do not try to control others or have yourself controlled by others. Traditional culture always emphasizes mutual dependence. Actually, once man attempts to depend on something, he will try to manage and control the thing he depends upon, which will necessarily lead to afflictions. For example, if husband and wife always depend on each other and always try to use their own outlook on life and values to transform the other party, and always attempt to have the other party act and behave according to their own wills, then both parties will be landed in a miserable situation. Therefore, man must learn to be independent. The earlier one becomes independent, the less distress one will suffer. Give up possession and believe in and rely on the home without marriage and family. According to traditional outlook on life, the more one possesses, the better one fares. As a result, man is always trying various means to amass possessions all his life. For this purpose, he is always kept on the run, attracted by the possession of money and property, fame and possession, and lovers, and so on. In fact, possession is not a very good thing. Once one possesses something, he will become the slave of the thing that he possesses. In particular, man should not own each other. The outlook on life that "you are mine" is wrong, because the one that is possessed will feel that his liberty of life is restricted, and will as a result rebel consciously or unconsciously, which will necessarily lead to afflictions for both parties. Chanyuan Celestial already owns the home without marriage and family, which takes care of their food, clothing, shelter, transportation, life, health, and death. So they should love the home, rely on the home, and shift completely from the reliance on man to reliance on and belief in the home. Be responsible for yourself instead of complaining against others. I am doing this all for your good. This is a wrong outlook on life, which has actually added invisible burden of spirit and soul on people served, and also has brought many worries and unhappiness to oneself. Man should first be responsible for himself. Only if one is happy and pleasant himself can he bring happiness and pleasure to others. A person who is unhappy and unpleasant himself can never bring happiness and pleasure to others, no matter how sincerely he has been working for the good of others. If you feel that you are doing things for the good of others, then you are placing a hope and expectation on them. When they do not conform to your will in their actions and words, you will surely feel unbearable, miserable, resentful, and desperate. Facts have proved that one of the major sources of the misery of life is the outlook on life that one should first be responsible for others instead of for oneself. Do not dwell on the past, but look forward to the future. Whatever you have achieved in the past, it is only the track of your life and the arrangement of fate, and you cannot help it. The Bodhisattvas do not pride themselves on the merits and virtues. When you have spent your time and youth for others, they are also spending their time and youth for themselves. It is not a matter of who owes who. He will be plunged in endless suffering once a person indulges himself in the past, especially in the contributions he has made in the past, feeling that others and the society have let himself down and owe a lot to him. Celestial beings will make judgment of who is right and who is wrong, and Tao will naturally mete out punishment to faults and reward to merits. One will reap what he sows. As long as what we have done in the past is virtuous, then we will be richly rewarded by Tao. The past is already a thing of the past, no matter how glorious or miserable it has been. What we should do now is look forward to the future and chase the sun. This is required for a rational life. Love is unselfish devotion instead of expectation and exaction. The greatest creator is love by nature. Love is the source of freedom and happiness. If we have a heart of love, we should most willingly devote ourselves without any regret or resentment. We should not place any hope on or attach any condition to the one we love. We should not regard love as an investment and expect repayment now or in the future from the one we love, or hope to get something out of the one we love. Actually, if we have realized that love is unselfish devotion and practice such kind of love, we will naturally be requited with love. If we are not repaid with love, we must make a check of ourselves to find out whether our love is pure and untainted. If we attempt to hold somebody in bondage in the name of love, or try to have the one we love do things according to our own wills, then we have misunderstood love. Man, it is easy to know and understand others, but difficult to know and understand ourselves. When we are suffering the torture of distress for what we feel are right, we are actually having a distorted outlook on life and values. In this situation, complaining will not contribute to the solution of problems. To get out of misery and pain, one has to completely change his values and form a correct outlook on life and value. Only if one has established correct outlook on life and values, he will immediately feel the joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing, and will have a bright and splendid future. 埋怨是一支毒箭. Complaint is a poisonous arrow. 泄愤. When things are not going as one has expected or imagined, one will feel extremely uncomfortable and thus unleash implicitly or explicitly one's dissatisfaction upon the people who he or she thinks is the cause for his or her dissatisfaction so as to express his or her grievances and anger. This feeling or behavior is called complaining. Complaint occurs mainly between husband and wife, between colleagues, partners, superiors and subordinates, between parents and children, between sisters and brothers, and between neighbors. If jealousy is a poison that hurts oneself, complaint is a poisonous arrow that hurts others. Complaints are one of the major causes for the tension, conflicts, contradictions, ruined relations, and violent fights between husband and wife, colleagues, partners, superiors and subordinates, between parents and children, between sisters and brothers, and between neighbors. Complaint is the maltreatment of others' spirit and soul. The more civilized and better educated the people are, the more deeply they will be hurt. A person who is always the object of complaint cannot live a life of his own style. Even worse, such complaints can cause a distorted and abnormal mentality, inexplicable loss of temper, the loss of confidence in future, the dejection, the resentment and desperation, and even suicide. The complaints among relatives against each other can cause more severe injury to people's spirit and soul. The most frequent complaints occur between husband and wife. The endless babbling, nagging, and complaining can cast a shadow over the family, will severely affect the physical and spiritual well-being of family members, and especially will have adverse effect on children. Complaints have been the greatest cause for a member to run away from home. Here let me give a few examples of complaints. Why are you always so irrational? Can you let me alone and have some peace? Would you end up in trouble and distress of today if you had followed my advice? I have told you again and again, but you would never listen. I would be more than blessed if you were like Xiao Wang. Why can't you draw lessons from past mistakes? You are making the same mistakes again and again. It's all your fault if it were not for you. Should things have fared so badly? He is such a useless person who can never do anything well. If it were not for you, I would not have been landed in such a miserable situation. It's all your fault. All these are complaints, which are extremely harmful. A person who complains against others always believes that he is in reason, he is in the right, and he is wiser than others. Actually, it is only latter wit. He shifts all the blames onto the other person to ensure his own peace of mind, which is a sign of selfishness. Thus, few people who complain against others are sane themselves. They are born with a deficiency of a heart of mercy. What is there to complain about? Everyone has his strengths and weaknesses, everyone is faced with his own difficulties, and has the objective causes for not having done something well. Something may be as easy for someone as turning his palm over, but may be extremely difficult for others, for whom the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak. So mutual understanding and consideration are needed. The purpose of life is to attain joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. Can complaining bring you the joy and happiness? Do what you should do and take the road that you should take. Why do you have to complain against others? Do not keep raking up the unhappy things in the past, unless you want others to suffer and wish to maltreat and punish them. The husband and wife can break company in a good manner instead of complaining endlessly if they feel incompatible with each other, thus letting each other go their own way. There is no need to subject each other to the maltreatment and torture of soul and spirit every day. In the paradise, there is no jealousy. In the same way, there is no complaining in the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and celestial island continent of the paradise. All those wishing to have a beautiful future and long for the heavenly kingdom must not be jealous of each other and must not complain against each other. It is absolutely impossible to go to the heavenly kingdom if those engaged in self-cultivation and self-refinery do not get rid of jealousy and complaining. Man is a solitary traveler. Everyone should bear consequence for everything he does. It is not reasonable at all to complain against others. We should understand how wonderful it is to have someone accompany us on our journey of life. It simply does not matter if we have screwed things up. Life itself is a game. No matter what happens, what really counts is to have a joyful and happy life. A happy and joyful person has only one reason to be happy, but an unhappy and depressed person may have thousands of reasons to be unhappy. 你们一定要诚实. Please be honest. 写评. February 8th, 2011. Jesus Christ told us, "You should call a spade instead of beating about the bush. It is evil to say anything untrue." Honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the most solid steps that lead to the heavenly kingdom. You must be honest and avoid lying and cheating. Just tell things as it truly is, and say yes to mean yes and say no to mean no. You should act and think in the same way. You should be consistent in words and actions. You should not engage in double dealing. Honesty is the quality of celestial beings and angels of citizens in the heavenly kingdom. Lying is the quality of monsters, demons, goblins, and devils of citizens in hell. There are gods and deities just 3 feet above our heads. Even whispers in human world can be as sonorous as thunder to heaven, and even cheating in the dark chamber are clearly visible to magical eyes. Please keep in mind that gods and deities can pierce all your mental activities. A clever person may fall victim to his own cleverness. Any person who resorts to cheating may eventually become the victim of cheating. In this home of ours, we must be honest to the guide. The more honest we are, the greater benefit we will have. The less honest we are, the greater losses we will suffer. If you tell a lie, I can see most clearly, no matter how good a disguise you have put on. Even if you have temporarily hoodwinked me, you will be exposed very soon and I will see through you. When I know that you are a dishonest soul, you are already worthless in my heart. If you cheat me, I will also cheat you, and I will treat you in the same way as you have treated me. When you are extremely pleased with the thought that the guide does not know he has been hoodwinked by your blandishments, I can actually see clearly through all your trickery but just feign foolishness and let you display your smartness. Eventually, the fool is not the guide, but you who think you are the cleverest. The honest person is the most intelligent. The dishonest person is the most foolish. We should not beat about the bush. We should seek truth from fact and tell things as it really is. The honest people may suffer temporary losses but will eventually be richly rewarded. The dishonest people may be pleased with temporary success but will ultimately be dealt with severe punishment. Be honest to an honest person. Be dishonest to a dishonest person. But keep in mind, we should be most honest to the greatest creator. We must be most honest to God, Buddha, celestial and sages. We must be most honest to our superior. We must be most honest to the guide of life and life. 紧盯真善美躲避假而丑. Pursue sincerity, kindness, and beauty, and shy away from falsity, evil, and ugliness. Xiefeng, May 22, 2010. The theory of Taiji tells us, the created universe carries the yin at its back and the yang in front. Sincerity coexists with falsity, kindness with evil, beauty with ugliness, love with hate, life with death, disaster with blessing, honor with disgrace. The unity of opposites is the fundamental law of the universe. There is nothing absolute, and things are all relative. This is true of the whole universe, the society, everything, every object, every person, and every phenomenon. The people that are heading for heaven are those who pursue sincerity, kindness, and beauty, and consciously shy away from falsity, evil, and ugliness, and chase the sun and escape the darkness. No matter whether they observe the universe, nature, and human society, or everything, every object, every phenomenon, or every person, they can always see their sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and honesty, and ignore their falsity, evil, ugliness, resentment, and hypocrisy. They look forward to the heaven and pay no attention to the hell, because they understand the law of attraction. Whatever consciousness of soul a person has, and whatever reality that person will perceive. They also understand that birds of a feather flock together, that a person with an ugly soul can only see an ugly world, and a person with a beautiful soul can see a beautiful world. For this purpose, I have 8 requirements for Chanyuan Celestials. Do not search for and highlight the dark side of the society, but search for and highlight the bright side of the society. Do not expose the ugly side of human nature, but highlight the beautiful side of human nature. Be ready to compliment rather than find fault. Keep a distance from those who like grumbling, who spread rumor and gossips, who are listless and dispirited, who are arrogant and conceited, who are extremely selfish, who are sorrowful, and who are negative and pessimistic. Associate with those who are youthful, who are humble and hopeful, who are optimistic and generous, and who are the closest to the greatest Creator. Listen more often to beautiful words and soothing and melodious music, and less often to noises. Watch and read more often the film, television, newspapers, magazines, and network information that exhibit sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and honesty, but less often those that exhibit murder, violence, and the ugly side of society and human nature. Read more often my account of the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and celestial island continent of the Elysium world, and pay less attention to the unfortunate state in the human world, animal world, and hell. Communicate more with nature and do not associate with those in the secular world who are greedy, selfish, and deceitful. Try hard to guide consciousness toward simplicity, order, and harmony, and refrain from probing into things that are profound, grotesque, quaint, absurd, and other unnatural and disorderly things. Maintain an optimistic, active, and positive attitude toward everything, and reject the passive, pessimistic, and negative attitude. The orderly consciousness creates an orderly world. The beautiful soul creates a beautiful life. If you have an evil eye, everything around will be evil. If you have a heart of Buddha, you can see Buddha everywhere. There is nothing wrong with the world. We are the ones that are at fault. Even if ugliness and wickedness prevail the world, we can keep a clean soul and strive to be an angel. Even if others are hypocritical and cunning, we can show our sincerity, kindness, virtue, love, faith, and honesty. We do not grumble, do not complain, do not expose the society, do not find fault with others. We are content with what we have. We do not reach for what is beyond our grasp. We are not ambitious. We live an ordinary life. We do not seek fame, interest, position, and power. We only pursue joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. We do not aim to own anything in the human world. Our only purpose is to move forward 1,000-year world, 10,000-year worlds, and celestial island continent of the Elysium world. Pursue sincerity, kindness, and beauty, and shy away from falsity, evil, and ugliness. Be pious to Buddhahood, and run toward the celestial island continent. 在上帝的王国里永远不能傲慢. Never be arrogant in the kingdom of the greatest Creator. Xiefeng, May 1, 2012. Translated by Tsong Long. Everyone who lives in the second home, now new oasis for life, should always remember that everything we get from the community is a gift bestowed by the greatest Creator. Compared to His mercy, what we do for the second home is nothing. Therefore, we should always keep a humble attitude and never be arrogant. Arrogance is a characteristic which matches neither a Chanyuan Celestial's quality, nor is it in harmony with life in the kingdom of the greatest Creator. Arrogance is a quality of the devil, not that of Buddha. It is a weed in our soul garden which must be removed. Therefore, no matter how knowledgeable we are or how much we have contributed to the second home, even if we are very intelligent and capable, we should never be arrogant. The symbols of arrogance are: to think that the second home would not still exist without us. To think that we play a very important role, and the second home will not be able to sustain without us. To think that we are very wise and intelligent, superior to our brothers and sisters. To take everything for granted and think that the community should meet all our requirements. If there is any request that cannot be satisfied, we get upset and become pessimistic. To think very highly of ourselves and condemn and criticize other brothers and sisters. To think that our brothers and sisters are not as outstanding as we, and become lazy and no longer participate actively in the building of the second home. To think that the second home owes us, are not willing to accept criticism, and always think that we are right. To always want to do office work or be the leader of the community, not willing to do dirty and heavy labor. To always show off and want everyone to admire us. To criticize, condemn, and ridicule others. Arrogance is a symbol of narrow-mindedness, shallowness, ignorance, and an uncivilized character. It is also the watershed that divides the celestial from the devil, and one of the most important symbols of a flawed soul. Therefore, everyone should be mindful not to let arrogance invade your soul. No matter how great we think we are, how outstanding we seem to be, or how much we have contributed. No matter what position we are at and are admired by how many people, no matter whether we are an expert, a celebrity, a high-ranking official, a rich man, or have a doctor's degree, once we enter and live in the second home, we need to think of ourselves as the most ordinary and in lowest position, and always keep a humble heart. We enter the second home not for position, fame, and power, material comforts, beautiful women, or handsome men, and not for glorifying our ancestors or passing a good reputation to 100 future generations. Rather, we are here to perfect our souls, repay our debts from previous lives, and accumulate our treasures in heaven, then go to the Elysium world. Once we have a feeling of arrogance, we will not be able to go forward, and we will make mistakes and ruin our futures. It will also become an obstacle to building our ideal community. Eventually, all our most beautiful dreams will become void, and we will regret that forever. Please, always return to the starting point and fly in the space of the Pure Land. You will see different scenery. It is also one of the best ways to reach heaven. 修行路上一定要点亮心中的神灯. Light the sacred lamp in your heart.